looking at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, which will be silent today because the NFL has postponed the Steelers-Ravens matchup after multiple players tested positive for the coronavirus. It is the most recent example of how one of America's annual Thanksgiving traditions is being disrupted by the pandemic. Former Steelers head coach Bill Cowher is CBS Sports NFL analyst for today's Texans-Lions game on CBS, and he joins us now with what to expect in today's matchups. Coach, good to see you again this year.
Good to see you, Vlad.
So let me ask you about
Thanksgiving to you,
Happy
Michelle
Thanksgiving.
and Drika.
Yeah, good to see you, my brother. So let me ask you about this matchup. Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers. Now you got to wait until Sunday. Is the NFL doing enough to keep its players safe?
I think they are. I think what they're doing is trying to keep everything as normal as possible, making decisions at the last minute based on the information they're given. But, you know, you're talking about people testing positive. You're talking about the contact tracing. So it's a very, very fluid situation, I think, in the NFL. But, boy, I mean, to this point, to think that we've gotten all these games in is pretty remarkable.
Should the NFL consider a bubble format similar to what we saw in the NBA?
Well, I think the bubble would have to be almost within the cities, Vlad, when you talk about it. And as we get closer to the playoffs, maybe that's something to consider. Again, you know, as you take the data that we're getting from people and try to keep them isolated to a certain degree within their families, maybe it's a hotel within each city. So it's something that I think the NFL is considering. And again, it's a very fluid situation. So we have to take the numbers as they come and make the decisions accordingly.
Coach, you've coached your fair share of Thanksgiving Day games. What makes it so special?
Well, Michelle, I think when you think about Thanksgiving, I always go back to, for me, football was a big part of it. And, you know, the only time I actually was able to coach on one was back in 1998 on CBS up in Detroit. It was a game I really didn't enjoy very much and kind of ruined my Thanksgiving because we lost in overtime on a coin flip discrepancy, I'd say controversy to say the least. But, you know, when you think about Thanksgiving, you think about football, you think about family, and you think about food, right? And so I always remember when I was a kid growing up in Pittsburgh, the fact that, you know, we always would eat after the first game, we'd have dessert after the 4 o'clock game, and then everyone was usually asleep by 7.
Yeah, but how does the pandemic changing things? I mean, it's changing it for the players, certainly on the field, but what's going to be like for you in the booth?
You know, I think as we go into the studio, I think what we can do is bring back some degree of normalcy, right? I mean, to try to go back to be very thankful for all the things we have around us. With this pandemic, and you look and you see the people that are going through tougher times than you are, if for that 1 3-hour period of time, a block of time, we can take them back and to be a fan, to think about your tradition and think about their teams, that's what it's all about. You know, you're talking about the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson, having statistically one of the best years that he's ever had. Unfortunately, they're not winning games. Matthew Stafford coming off of being shut out last week. And I think when you look at professional athletes, you're looking at, you know, what's the most dangerous and the biggest thing that motivate them is pride. So I think this game this afternoon at 12 o'clock that we have is going to be 2 teams that are looking to rebound. They know you're on a national stage. If indeed there are coaching changes being made, this is your resume. So there's a lot to be gained right here.
Coach Cowher, Jericka Duncan here. I think you recall that I'm a Bills fan.
I do, Jericka, I do.
Thanks.
And you're having a very good year.
I'm just saying, 7-3, top of the AFC East. Not bad, not bad. What are your predictions?
Not bad. Not bad. And how about the year Josh Allen is having as well? You talk about the AFC, you're talking about Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. And let's not forget about Ben Roethlisberger. Remember, he didn't even play last year.
Right.
When you're talking about coming off the elbow surgery. But when you watch the Buffalo Bills, they're fun to watch. They've been very dynamic. They've won these games. They've lost a couple close ones. But you're looking at Josh Allen, who to me each and every week is just gaining confidence, more command of the offense. They got weapons around him now, Stephon Diggs, and bringing him into the mix. So when you supply a good quarterback, I remember being with Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh, when you get a guy that you know, what you want to do is give him as many weapons as you can. And I think Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills are doing that, and they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the playoffs.
All right. Coach Cowher, we'll be watching you today on CBS. You're calling the Texans-Detroit Lions game. Thank you so much, my friend. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
The NFL Today begins its Thanksgiving Day coverage, as I said, of the Texans versus the Lions today at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on CBS.